This cute Thanksgiving turkey is gonna be drawn with colored pencils, marker, and you can make it at your house too. Just watch and learn. Okay, so this is my choice of colored pencils. I have different shades of brown and red, and I have a few yellows and oranges mixed in there. You can decide what you want to use to outline your turkey. You can use a fine tip black marker. This is one just from Target. Or you can use a Sharpie. Your choice. Or if you are more comfortable with a pencil, you can use a black colored pencil. I'm going to go ahead and use this marker. All right. So we're going to start at the top of our page and make kind of an elongated C curve, a little divot in the middle, right there. And we want the head shape to be about that big, so we're going to repeat that same shape on the other side. It's okay if it's not symmetrical. And we're going to connect those two lines at the top with some little feathers. Those are his little head feathers. All right, so next the beak and the gobble. And we're going to come straight down from the feathers and draw our gobble first, kind of like a long teardrop. Do a little pointed beak with a little fat edge out there. Eyes, just long ovals for the eyes, and then we're going to create a little highlight in the center there. And we'll fill that in with black a little bit later. So after the head, we're going to work on the wing. And the wing is going to be kind of like a sideways teardrop shape where we want it to be a little bit bigger right here and come in towards a little point, but we're not going to connect it completely. Now we're going to draw a line, a little bit of a curve, and then the feathers, just 3 feathers, and then connect those with some little curved lines to show that outline of the shape. Okay, remember, you can pause this if I'm going too fast. At any point in the video, you can pause to catch up and then move on. Next, I'm just making a few marker strokes to create some feathers. This will separate the head feathers from the body feathers, right? Doesn't matter how many you do. Now the body itself is going to be like an oblong circle, little egg shape on its side, but I'm leaving some little gaps here because we're going to have his toes poke through. So I'm stopping, I'm going to pick up my marker and then continue the egg and then stop as soon as I get to the tip of his wings. Okay, next we're going to do his tail feathers. And on this one, we're just going to do some lines that shoot out from the back of his wing, almost like ray of sunshine. We're going to do 6. So 3, 4, and then turn it a little bit, 5 and 6. And then just kind of, it's okay if they're not all the same length. So those are going to be where the tail feathers go. Now we're going to take a little break. We're going to do the 3 toes on each foot. 1, 2, 3. And connect that foot with his leg. He's kind of sitting on his bottom and his feet are straight out in front of him. We're going to do the same thing on this side. 3 toes, little pointed bottom of the foot, and connect that with a line to the body. Okay, let's connect these tail feathers. We're going to just jump from line to line with a little arc shape. So from the head to this first line, little arc shape. Again, little arc shape. So one line to another, just connecting them. And it's okay if it isn't perfect. Now you're going to follow those same shapes at the top, maybe an inch above it. And just have those arc shapes follow it without connecting the lines. Except for when you get to the very end, you'll connect that. And there we have it. It's pretty much done with the outline of the bird. You can add in some extra little ruffles. You can fill in the eyes, color them in black. That way your highlight stands out. You can also change the style of the eyes if you'd rather them be a little bit different style. I'm just going to come in and create a little bit bolder lines for the beak. And you can do the same if you have any lines that you think need a little bit of an enhancement. Okay, I think we are ready to start coloring. Okay, so I'm going to use vermilion for his head feathers. That's basically just a red-orange color. So as you're coloring in your turkey, pay attention to the way that you are moving the pencil. If you're just doing straight back and forth lines, it's not going to have as much of a three-dimensional look. What I'm doing is I'm making circular motions. I'm following the shape of the head and kind of imagining if this were a three-dimensional object, then those lines would curve around the shape of the skull. I'm also following just the shapes that exist within it, so also the eyes, but also I do little circular shapes for the cheek, and that gives him a little bit more character as he has those big chubby cheeks. And then as you go and fill in the rest of the head, as long as you aren't pushing too hard and doing kind of some lighter strokes and just using, pushing the pencil lightly, then you can go in and kind of cover up any straight lines that you've created. Notice that I like to get a little bit darker as I get to the edges. So right here at the very edge of the very bottom of his head feathers, I make it a little darker. I also go a little bit darker along the edge of the top of his head. And that's just because it delineates the different parts of his body. So it's going to make his head stand out, right? And it also just creates a little bit more dimension. For this part, I'm using kind of a deep red, almost like a maroon. And for the beak, I'm using a bright yellow along with a golden yellow and blending the two colors together. Again, I do this just to create a little bit more dimension. I think it makes the beak pop out a little bit more. And I'm going to do the same thing on the toes. I'm using the light yellow, but at the very tip of the toes, I'm using that golden yellow color, and then just blending the two together. The next step is to fill in the body. I'm going to use a dark brown for this. Now, you'll notice that I'm not necessarily following the curved line of the wing all the time. The reason for that is because we want to fill in a large area with a dark color, and we want to do that relatively quickly. Again, if you are pressing lightly on your pencil, you can accomplish this. You can do just regular straight back and forth motions like I'm doing here on the wing. And as long as you're pressing lightly and going over the same area 2 or 3 times, then you're not going to run into, some of your strokes being revealed. Sometimes we get a little too preoccupied in making sure that the strokes themselves look good. We don't want it to look like a scribble. We want it to look smooth. You can accomplish that if you just press lightly and go over that area several times. Your turkey's feathers can be any color. I'm using a goldenrod and a really light brown. So these goldenrod feathers, I'm following the same technique, pressing lightly, filling it in over and over, doing darker colors at the very edges of the black lines, and then lightening it as I go towards the center of the shape. So you can choose to use these colors if you'd like. You can also use some, if you want more of a rainbow look, you can choose some rainbow colors for the feathers. But again, this is a goldenrod and a light brown. For the tips of his feathers, I'm going to use a light yellow. And because this yellow turned out so light, I decided to use a little bit of, I believe it's goldenrod. And that just helps the edges of the shape to go a little bit darker. At this point, I'm going to just accentuate the colors in his head. I felt like it was a little bit too much white in the background. So to fill in the white gaps, I'm using orange. And that's just going to make his head feathers look a little bit warmer, a little bit more inviting. And there he is, the Thanksgiving turkey. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe for more informational videos.